Hi, everybody. Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with another video on Canadian immigration. My prayers and wishes that all of you, along with your families, are doing really well wherever in the world you are. So, on my social media platforms of Shariq Immigration, the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, I regularly post videos which are related to topics on Canadian immigration in general. Some months back, I posted a couple of videos which were regarding Canadian super visa, and there were a lot of follow-up questions and queries which were specific to the insurance required for the Canadian super visa. And because I'm not an expert at insurance matters, my domain is immigration. That's when I thought that maybe I'll do a video wherein I can bring in an expert who has expertise in insurance, specifically for super visa insurance and other Canadian visa related insurances, so that we can discuss about these matters, and you can be informed on that. So for the same reason, today I have a guest with me who is a licensed Canadian insurance advisor, based here in the city of Toronto. We are going to have a discussion, and we'll see as to how through this video we can answer your questions on various Canadian immigration related insurances. So without further ado, I'll invite my good friend Aman Bir Walia. And with this, I'll hand it over to Aman. Aman, how are you doing?
I'm good, Mr. Hassan. How are you?
All good, all good, all good. How's life in general? Are you looking forward towards the winters, which are started already, kind of?
Almost here. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. So winter is almost here. All of those hot, sunny days are gone. So people are back from vacation and back into the September mood.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Aman, just a quick introduction about yourself. Tell us about what an insurance advisor is and all that. Yeah.
So yes, so my name is Aman Birwalia and I'm a licensed insurance advisor. So the license is specifically LLQP and it's basically for personal health insurance products. So we deal with the major Canadian insurance companies regarding life insurance, critical illness, disability,
Yeah.
travel health, super visa, and visitor visa plans.
Perfect. So one important things that the audience would have noted is that Aman mentioned that he's a licensed insurance advisor. Now, keep in mind that most of the services here in Canada, here in the province of Ontario, are regulated, licensed. So when it comes to buying insurance for super visa or other Canadian visas, you have to talk to a licensed insurance advisor. I mean, I'd also like you to mention that a lot of our audience might actually be people who are in Canada, and they're already in touch with, say, some insurance advisor who would be in most cases dealing in auto and home. Is it the same kind of insurance or the same advisor? Just talk about that.
Right. So there are two different licenses. So the one I have is LLQP, which is for personal health insurance products,
Yeah,
for example, life insurance and critical disability.
yeah.
The other one is for home and auto specifically. So there are two different sections of this.
Okay, okay. So basically, the takeaway is that if somebody already has an advisor for their auto or home, that person might not be able to provide them
That's
insurance
right.
services for their parents' super visa. So
That's
something that you folks need to keep in mind. Aman, with that, our prime focus for today's video will be super visa. There are other aspects that probably we'd love to talk about in later on videos. So tell us a little about the requirements for super visa when it comes to insurance.
sure. So the minimum requirement for the super visa is $100,000 coverage. That's the minimum you require. We can go on top of that, but that's
Beyond
the
that,
minimum amount. And the policy must be for 365 days.
okay,
So
for a
they
whole
need a
year.
whole for a whole year. Yes, they need a whole year policy. And before they used to have monthly payment plan
Yeah.
for some of the clients, but due to recent changes, there's no more monthly payment plan available for super visa insurance for the applicants who still have to apply for super visa.
Yeah.
So for them, they would need to pay for the whole year upfront,
Yeah.
and that would be a whole year plan.
Okay, fair enough. And for general or audience viewers, understanding that super visa is a specific visa which is offered for parents and grandparents of Canadian PR and citizens, if they would want to invite their parents or grandparents to come over to Canada and stay with them. So only Canadian PR and citizens can apply for this, for their parents and grandparents. And previously, so the duration for which this is granted is the total time period is 10 years. And in one single entry now under the new policy, your parents can stay with you for up to 5 years. But keep in mind that this is still a temporary visa. This does not give the parents or grandparents any rights of work or studying, but they can stay with you. And because here in Canada, in all provinces, the PR and citizens are covered, and in some cases the workers as well. They are covered under the provincial health insurance, where all medical treatment is done through that. But if your parents or grandparents are coming to Canada on a super visa or on a visitor visa, their health liability is not on the government. So because usually these are elderly people, so that is why there is a requirement to buy medical insurance, that if god forbid there is an emergency and they have to be hospitalized or they need to have an urgent treatment, this is the insurance that will cover those costs. Aman, can you explain a little bit about the coverage that super visa insurance would have? I just talked about that, and then the different providers. What is like a minimum standard thing, and what are additional perks or benefits that one could add in?
Right. So it depends from policy to policy. So what companies do have their standard and enhanced plan.
Okay.
So standard plan will have the most basic coverage, whereas the enhanced would have more benefit or more amount in their benefit coverage.
Okay.
For example, some of the plans would have, let's say, no dental pain relief, whereas other would have a lot more dental pain relief. So it really depends from policy to policy. But keeping in mind, these policies are only for emergency purpose.
Yeah.
So let's say somebody gets really bad pain anywhere in their body, or let's say there's any accident for them. So that's when these plans come into effect. So any emergency, it could be any emergency pain or sickness or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. And can you give us some major factors that one should consider when they are shopping around for insurances for super visa?
Sure. So I think one of the main factors for clients right now is premium comparison. So
Mm,
make sure you go to a licensed insurance advisor who
mm,
has a range of different major Canadian insurance companies, so they can give you the most competitive pricing out there.
okay.
The next we just talked about is benefit comparison.
Mm,
So make sure you get a list of companies with their benefit details,
mm,
because you want to check what benefit is included in the policies, because the client, let's say some client might require more dental coverage.
okay. Yeah.
So you would have to compare the benefit details and of course their plan details, because different companies have standard and an enhanced plan, like we just talked about it. So that's one of the crucial part. The next is the claim process. So some of the companies have a very simplified claim process. They might
Mm,
not require a lot of documentation, or just require like basic documentation, let's say.
mm,
And whereas other companies would have a very complicated claim process. So you would
okay.
have to ask the advisor about the claim process as well. And last but not the least is pre-existing medical conditions, which is one of the most important part. We always ask our clients to disclose all their health conditions, any surgeries in the past, any medication going on, or any thing happened in the past with them, because
Okay.
that's how we decide which policy to give them.
So with that, Aman, my next question will be about pre-existing conditions. You did talk about that. Just tell a little bit about how it impacts the premium itself, because a lot of times people are reluctant in providing details on pre-existing conditions. They think that the difference between premium is going to be huge. So just give a rough figure, or a rough estimation as to how much of that difference is. And say, for instance, if somebody does not provide a pre-existing condition, they hide it later on, what consequences can that have?
Sure. So, again, we require them to disclose all the pre-existing conditions. If they do not disclose, and let's say they're come in here and there's a big claim, for example, let's say of 40 or $50,000,
Yeah,
usually the insurance company would require the previous medical documents from back home.
from
And
back
if
home. Okay.
those, right, so, and if those documents show any of the condition or any medication that the client was taking before, which was not disclosed, they could refuse the claim because that would be a
Okay.
misrepresentation.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would like I would advise the client twice to make sure to check with the applicants because some of the clients would buy for their parents.
Yeah.
So they just have to check what medication or what surgeries they had in the past
Yeah.
so that we can mention it to the insurance company or get the policy according to that.
Yeah.
And coming back to the pricing, so it really depends from age to age comparison, but I don't think there's a big difference in pricing. For
Yeah.
example, last week I gave the policy to some of the clients, and the monthly difference was only $10 to $15
Okay.
for their
Okay.
policy, which is
Yeah.
not a huge difference.
Which is not huge, and then the kind of consequence that can have
Exactly.
later
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
just $10 to $15 difference would cover your risk, and
Yeah.
it would be worth it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes all the sense. So now there is this requirement that you have to get a 365 days 1 year plan. Whereas a lot of times, these parents would come, maybe they plan on coming and staying for long, but sometimes, with how life is here, how thing is here, say they return back in 6 months, or any time less than a year.
Right.
So the payment, just explain as to how the payment works. Clients supposed to pay this three amount for 365 days upfront, and if parents leave early, what happens to that? What are the policies around that?
Right. So let's say we can take an example of this. So let's say somebody comes to Canada and stays here for 8 months.
Yeah.
So the premium for the remaining 4 months will be refunded,
Okay.
given that we have the boarding pass or the stamp on the passport to
Okay.
show to the insurance company.
Okay. Okay.
However, if they have filed a claim within those 8 months, then
Yeah.
most of the companies will not refund the remaining 4 months premium.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
one of the important parts.
Okay.
And one thing I would like to mention is, let's say they don't even have a claim, right?
Yeah.
There's no claim claimed. Then the rest 4 months will be refunded, but
Yeah.
every company will charge the cancellation fees or administration fees, which is
Okay.
close to $50 for every company,
Okay.
and the rest will be refunded.
Okay.
They only
Okay.
charge this cancellation fees because these policies are built for a whole year. So
Okay.
if
Okay.
somebody is canceling before a year, then there's like a minor charge
Okay.
for that.
Okay. Also, in terms of when somebody's buying this policy, so I'm assuming from what you just mentioned that you have to pay the whole year amount upfront.
Right.
Yeah. So now let's connect these dots with the visa processing. So first, somebody is looking at buying this policy, and they have to apply for their parents' super visa. The processing these days, there's a lot of delays, so the processing can take, say, maybe 6 months or 8 months or 10 months. So from what date is this amount effective?
Good question. So we can again take an example of this. So let's say somebody just gets the policy today,
Yeah.
and they gave us the effective date as 1st of December, right?
Okay.
And for some reason the plan gets postponed, but as you mentioned, the visa gets more timing for that.
Yeah.
We can always move the date to a future date. In other
Okay.
words, the policy can be postponed or
Yeah.
it can even be preponed.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
both the
Okay.
options are available, and the policy will be effective on that date, which we have mentioned in the policy details, basically.
Okay. Okay.
That's the day which it can mention. And one point, most of the companies we can move the date up to 2 years
Okay.
from the date the policy was issued. So let's say
Okay.
the policy was issued today.
Yeah.
From today till next 2 years, we can move the policy date.
Okay. Yeah. So that's sufficient time. Sufficient time. Secondly, say for instance somebody applies for a visa, they have the policy. After 6 months, the visa gets denied. Now what?
Right. So if the visa gets denied, we will need the refusal letter, and there will be full refund issued by the insurance company.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's good knowing. I think that's kind of the questions that I had coming from various clients and the videos that I made. Just one last thing, and we'll make a little more detailed videos on some other aspects, but just covering like for super visa, this medical emergency insurance is a requirement. Whereas
Okay.
if somebody's coming on a visitor visa, it's optional, they can have. Can you talk a little about the same kind of insurance for somebody coming on a visitor visa?
Right. So basically, the policies are same.
Okay.
The only difference is in visitor visa, you can choose the benefit amount. It could be
Okay.
$50,000, it could be $20,000, whereas
Yeah.
in super visa, we need a minimum of $100,000.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the difference. Otherwise, the policy details, the companies offering the policies are same.
Okay. Okay.
Now, the main thing is for super visa, people have to buy. But
Yeah.
for visitor visa, I think it's advisable to buy because you never know if any uncertainty happens when you come in here. You
Yeah.
have to pay out of your pocket
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the hospital expenses, which could be God knows
Yeah.
what amount
Yeah.
they
Yeah. Yeah.
charge, right? So,
And generally, I know this will actually depend on the client. What is a sort of a minimum suggestive amount that you would suggest for an individual person coming to Canada on a visitor visa, like based on your experience, the minimum that you feel, and also knowing that what kind of claims are there, what kind of is generally charged, what is the minimum that you would suggest that people should look at buying?
I think the minimum amount would be probably $100,000
Okay.
because in
Okay.
the past we had claims of $80,000 to $90,000.
Okay. Okay.
Right, and the person had a heart attack, so they had to pay $90,000
Mm.
dollars, and luckily they had insurance. So
Okay.
minimum would be $100,000, but again, it would depend on the clients,
Yeah.
what they can put in the insurance, basically. So
Okay.
some of them would go for, let's say, 50,000, but most of them would go for $100,000 because that's the
100,000.
benchmark for supervisor insurance.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, folks, well, again, for those who are watching this, if your parents or even other family members, they are coming to Canada on a visitor visa, it is advisable that you look for this option. Very very important when it comes to elderly, so that if God forbid something happens, there is a backup option. Before we wind it up, Aman, just again briefly touching on insurance requirements for international students who come to Canada. We will definitely do a detailed video on that, but just talk a little bit about that as well.
Sure. So for international students, I think there could be two sections. So some would come to private institution,
Yeah.
could be private colleges or universities. We do get a lot of inquiries from them because most of the private colleges do not offer health insurance. The students have to buy themselves.
Okay.
And then the other section would be from public institutions.
Yeah.
Almost all of the public institutions do have the health insurance already in their fees.
Okay.
But one thing has to be noted here, you have to check the effective and the expiry date of the policy
Okay.
because we have a lot of students coming to us for health insurance
Hmm.
because their plan got expired on the last day of the college.
Okay.
So
Okay.
from the last day of the college till you get the health card, there's a gap in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to cover that gap, they would get the health insurance. It could be, let's say, for 2 or 3 or 4 months max.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the health insurance part. And some of the students would come to us for life insurance. Now, a lot of companies would not offer life insurance to international students, but some companies would have the plans for them.
Yeah.
So usually, students would go for only $100,000 for a 10-year policy. So it's a
Okay.
term 10 policy.
Okay.
And the interesting part is the premium is approximate only 12 to $11 to $12.
Okay.
a
Okay.
month, which
Okay.
is very reasonable.
Perfect.
But again, it
Perfect.
depends on the age as well. But that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
yeah.
And just for my clarification, those who are going to public institutions, they have to buy it from their institution, or there is still an option that they can buy it from some other provider as well.
Right. I think it really depends on the institutions
Okay.
because
Okay. Okay.
when they pay the fees, it's already included in the
It's already,
fees.
yeah. In most
Right.
cases,
So they
it is.
tend to just go with that insurance. But again, they just have to check the effective and expiry date because we even have some of the clients who come to Canada a month before,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
policy starts on the first day of the college. So there's again a gap in between.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. With regards to super visa insurance, any closing remarks that you have, Aman, that you'd like to share? We will really encourage those who watch this video to, if you have further questions and inquiries, post that in the comment section wherever you watch this on my YouTube channel or Facebook page. Whatever questions that you post in there, we'll try and answer those as well. Like Aman will provide expertise into that. So definitely post in your questions. Aman, any closing remarks, suggestions that you would want to share?
Sure. I mean, if again, if somebody's coming on a visitor visa as well, we just advise clients to make sure they buy before they come in here.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if they buy after, then
Yeah.
there's always a waiting period,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is different for every company. But the waiting period, you cannot claim in that waiting period. It could
Okay.
range from, let's say, 48 hours to 8 days for one of the companies.
Okay.
So always buy beforehand and always check the benefit details, ask a licensed insurance advisor. I mean, if you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be happy to
Uh,
help.
yeah. So with that, thank you so much, Aman, for sparing the time out. As I mentioned, folks, you're more than welcome. Rather, it's recommended that all your questions and queries. It's a very short time to cover this very very
It's a broad topic.
important and vast topic. So for those who are considering this, just post in the comment section. If you would like to get in touch with Aman, would you want to share some kind of contact details?
Sure.
Um, or what we can do is that in the comment section of this video, I will post contact details for Aman,
Okay. Yeah.
and then whoever is interested can get in touch. Or if you have questions, you post that question, and if you want to get in touch with Aman and discuss your possibilities, just drop in a comment in the comment section, and we'll be able to get you through to Aman. So with that, I'll ask for leave from Aman. He's given us his valuable time. It's actually a Monday here, but we have a public holiday,
Long one.
so long weekend. So for all of you, thank you so much for watching this video. Share your feedback, put in your question and queries, because even this particular video, my focus is always immigration, but I thought that there were a lot of question queries, so I thought that it is very important to bring in somebody who's an expert at that. With that, I pray that wherever you are, you stay well, you stay happy, take care of your families and your loved ones, and I'll see you again soon with another video. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.